Hello, my name is Ryan. This is a presentation of the chess project that was due for final. I ran into a couple more, actually many difficulties that I didn't think that I would encounter. And the very first one was that I couldn't really follow through, although you went over it thoroughly. I couldn't really understand what I had to do to make this or to get this going. But because of that, I try to create this with the procedural programming instead, just because that's what I was more used to. And I thought I could transfer the functions that I created over to the object-oriented programming using classes with by converting the functions that I have into the methods. And my initial effort had led me to this state where I would create the board. Oh, and the second problem that I ran into was that I couldn't create these Unicode images. I followed the Unicode that you provided on your on the assignment sheet, but when I typed it in and I tried to make those things to appear on my Visual Basics, it gave me an error where everything would come up as question marks. So I had to make an improvisation and create another board that looks more like the third one among the images that you provided. This one over here, and result is this, where the first letter represents whether it's black or white. The second one, and it's following two letters, like this one's rook, knight, bishop, queen, king, pawn, white, queen, white, king. As you can see, I hope that's clear enough for you to find to identify. And while the program is running, it asks which one you would like to move. White makes the first move, so you probably want the white pawn to move off first. Let's say, for instance, c2. If I want to move c2 to c4, it'll make that move. And if for whatever reason, black wants to move from d7 to d5, the white can then overtake it, which would erase this out of the board and take its spot. So c4 to d5 will move accordingly. So this was the first attempt that I have made, which works as you see. And the actual programming using the class programming, creating the chess program with the class, I followed the instruction as best as I could. I started with the chess piece class with the enum, whether it's white or black, so that I can remember, or so that I can store whether it belongs to the white piece or black piece. And then all the functions, all the methods inside of it to get the column number or the row number, and to set the column and row. And then I created a chessboard using an 8x8 array of the chess piece class that will be set to null. So it'll reserve the areas for 8x8 and set those to null. And I was going to populate it with pawns initially, and then set rooks and kings and knights and other pieces in its place. But the problem that I ran into was that this, while I believe should have worked, does not actually like to run it. I don't really understand why it doesn't take this. Maybe it's a syntax error, or maybe there's a line in the declaration that I've forgotten, but I can't get it to work. So but as you can see, what I've attempted was to create the program that I made with the procedural programming with the class. What I wanted to do was create the 8x8 array as I had before, and populate it and create each individual classes for pawn, knights, and well, the other pieces. And I would store the color. I would create it with the color designation, and will you remember what it'll store what color it belongs to, and then add that to what piece it actually is, and return that so that it can then use that information to populate the board as I've seen I've shown in the other video, in the previous section of the video. I wish I had more time to work on this. Unfortunately, yeah, this was as far as I gotten. I wish I could have worked on it a little longer and actually complete all the other requirements, such as the position check or getting the list of the valid moves. But unfortunately, I didn't have to complete that. And going through this project was a lot. Although it was stressful, but to be honest, going through this entire programming process was stressful, but referring back to the notes, referring back to the lectures, referring back to the videos, and the learning materials on the Pearson, it did help me keep my interest level up and going. I just am truly learning that having a habit of time to finish what I started. But yeah, if you could please look at what I have completed here. Yeah, if you can be considerate of what I've done and what I've attempted, at least how far I've gotten, I'll be grateful. And thank you.